I hope you can see the poem and the relevant information about the poem on your screens. You know, Carolyn Duffy is a contemporary British poet. At one time, she was the poet laureate from 2009 to 2019. Carolyn Duffy was born in 1955. She is still living. She is a poet, a broadcaster, a playwright, an academician, and so on and so forth. A writer of non-fiction as well. Now, Carolyn Duffy has written quite a number of books of poems, you know, and the poem that we have to discuss today, that is Warming Her Pearls, has been taken from Carolyn Duffy's second volume of adult poetry, you know, that was published in 1987. The title of this volume is Selling Manhattan. So this is a poem, that is Warming Her Pearls is a poem taken from Carolyn Duffy's book of poems entitled Selling Manhattan, which was published in 1987. In Selling Manhattan, Carolyn Duffy has written varied and different sorts of poems. It is an odd assortment of poems, but one thing runs through all the poems of this volume. That is the way money and commercial considerations influence human beings. How money leads to interpersonal relationship with equal power relationships. One is the employer, another is the employee. One is the master, another is the servant. One has power and the other endures power. And in some cases, even resists power. Now, this poem, Warming Her Pearls, is basically a poem about two women. There is a woman speaker who is a maidservant, and then there is also the lady of the house, who is a rich lady. And the relationship between these two women is very, very significant and problematic. We all know that Carolyn Duffy had marked lesbian leanings. And this poem can be queered, you know, this text can be queered, this text can be read from the perspective of the lesbian love tradition. That is very significant, but this poem is has got something anachronistic about its tone and language. Even though Carolyn Duffy does not go out of her way to point out that what is the narrated time of this poem, we are given to understand that this is about the Victorian era. Now, we all know that in the Victorian era, there were certain things that governed interpersonal relationship. For one, on the one hand, there was the case of very, very rigid class distinctions. There were certain things that people across the class barrier were supposed to do and say, and there were other things that they were not supposed to do or say. Similarly, so far as sexuality is concerned, you know, we all know about Oscar Wilde and how he was vilified. warming her pearls. Whose pearls? Her pearls. So not my pearls, somebody else's pearls. We know that pearls are inanimate things. We actually get them out of the oysters, and they are supposed to be white, cool, and lustrous. Then why should we warm pearls? Now, there was a superstition, there was a belief prevalent that these pearls, if they are worn by an active person, an active girl, the heat from that person's body would enter each and make them warm, all of them. And as a result, this will increase their luster, make it more lustrous. And as a result, warming the pearls of a mistress or a lady by the maid servants was quite common as a practice. So warming her pearls is about a peculiarly feminine activity that linked two kinds of women. One who had the warmth, who could wear and those pearls and make them more lustrous, and the other who had more money, more leisure, and the social permission to wear those pearls in parties and look lovely in them, in those lustrous gems. So there is this binary, and the pearls become the pearls become the link between the wearer and the warmer, between the woman at the warmth and the other woman who had the luxury. Okay. So if you look at the poem, you will see that this is basically a poem of 24 lines divided into 6 4-line stanzas or quatrains. But the quatrains are really chaotic. Line lengths differ. Lines on to other lines. There is enjambment. Rhyme scheme is non-existent. Sometimes there are incidental lines that rhyme. There is internal rhyme sometimes. Assonance and alliteration. Both have been used quite frequently in order to create a particular tonal effect. So apparently the poem looks very neat. 24 lines, 6 stanzas, each stanza of 4 lines, that is quatrain. So very neat, very structured. But if you look at these quatrains, you will see that they are chaotic. So there is also a tension, characteristic of what we have heard about the Victorian tension. That gives an added impetus to the poem, and its immediacy is increased thereby. So for the sake of our convenience, we will read and discuss one quatrain at a time. I will take the help of one of my students who will read out the relevant stanzas. Obviously, I will discuss. So Shilpi Boshak will do the honors today. Okay. Yes, go on. And she was quite a known person in the world of poetry and known to and admired by our poet Carol Ann Duffy, and that's why this poem has been dedicated to her. Go on.
Next to my own skin, her pearls. My mistress bids me wear them, warm them, until evening, when I will brush her hair. At 6, I place them round her cool white throat. All day, think of her.
Very good. So, look at the first line. Next to my own skin, her pearls. So, the dichotomous relationship is established at the very beginning. My skin and her pearls. Something that is a part of my body, and something that is her ornament. Okay, go on. Again, the next line, second line.
My mistress.
My mistress. Yes, my mistress. Now we all know, we have read Shakespeare's sonnets. Mistress may mean two things. One is the lady of the house and also a beloved. And this pun is not unintentional, it seems to be. My mistress bids them, wear them, wear them, warm them. Now, by wearing the pearls, the maidservant is supposed to warm them. Warm them for whom? Not for her, but actually for her mistress. Will be given these pearls at 6 in the evening. So until evening, the pearls are worn by the maidservant by way of a preparation. And then the pearls are transferred to the lady, the rightful owner, who will perform her social roles and social graces with the help of these ornaments. In her finery, she will go to the parties. Her hair will be brushed by the maid. And the maid will also put the pearls around the cold white neck of the throat of the lady. Now here, look at these two words, cold and white. Cold because sheltered. White again because the ladies, the upper classes, they didn't have to go out. So they could preserve their white skin. Whereas the others who had to walk outdoors had a suntan. Yes, and the last line of the stanza?
Round her cool white throat. Full stop.
Yes.
All day I think of her.
All day I think of her. All day I think of her. So who does the thinking? The speaker, the serving maid. And who is thought about? Obviously, the lady. And all day. So, the fascination and the fondness that is there is predominantly in the mind of the serving maid. And who is the object of adulation? Obviously, the lady of the house, who is the employer, who has a hold on the serving maid. Okay, let's go to the next stanza.
Sitting in the yellow room, contemplating silk or taffeta, which gown tonight? She fans herself whilst I work willingly, my slow heat entering each pearl, slack on my neck her rope.
Okay. So here you see, look at the it's all day long in the yellow room. Obviously, there must be many rooms in this this house of the lady, which is very roomy, very spacious. Must have other rooms, and that's why this room has to be differentiated with the yellow paint that it has got. Okay, um, and all day long she takes the weighty decision, just like you remember Rip of the Lock. She has to this lady has to think about what nightgown to wear, the dress, what material to choose from her wardrobe. Will it be a silk or taffeta? Okay, and then the lady also fans herself. Why? In order to keep her cool, in order to remain unflustered. Even if the heat increases, the interior of the yellow room is pleasant, and it is rendered more pleasant by the lady fanning herself to remain cool. Okay. But is it the only reason why she has to fan herself? I will come back to it. Why should she fan herself to remain cool? Yes. And
My slow
what does this girl, the maid servant do? She has to walk willingly. So the indolence of the lady is juxtaposed with, contrasted to the diligence of the woman. She works willingly in order to please the lady, presumably. And by working, she raises her body temperature. As a result, each of the pearls is infused with the warmth from her body. And the pearls become more lustrous. But there is a catch here. Round the neck of this serving woman, there is the rope. This necklace, the pearl necklace, is considered to be nothing more than a rope. Obviously, we are reminded of the harness. Even though there is slack now, it can be tightened at the will of the lady who employs the woman, the serving maid. So obviously, the you remember I told you about the role of money and how it could influence human life. Here also, because she is the employer, because she can give or withstand the maid's livelihood, that is why there is a hold that she has over the serving maid. Yes. Okay, let's go to the third stanza, shall we?
She is beautiful. I dream about her in my attic bed. Picture her dancing with tall men, puzzled by my faint, persistent scent, beneath her French perfume, her milky stones.
Okay. Now the lady has white skin. The lady is beautiful. That can rationalize, that can and explain why the servant girl thinks about the lady all day long. So there is a fascination. There is, surprise, surprise, some kind of forbidden sexual interest that the serving maid has for her lady. Okay, so uh, there is a reference to certain very, very significant things here. The lady can go to parties, can dance with tall men, tall, stalwart men. Obviously, desirable companions, desirable sexual partners. Okay. And the woman, the serving woman, is left behind at her attic room. She can only think about, dream about, imagine what the lady is doing in the party, dancing with the tall men. Okay. Okay, read this portion again.
Yes, sir.
Read this portion again.
Picture her dancing with tall men, puzzled by my faint, persistent scent
Wait,
beneath
wait,
her French perfume.
wait. So you see, the maid has an ace up her sleeve. Yes, the pearls have been worn by her. The pearls have now been transferred to the lady. The lady wears them more lustrous thanks to the heat, the body heat of the maid. But along with the warmth, something else also persists. It is my scent. That is oxymoronically both faint and persistent. And that is why this scent puzzles the lady. Because this scent is not her scent. This scent is the serving woman's scent. And even the French perfume that the lady uses cannot totally neutralize this body odor. And that is why it is puzzling. Again, just think about the olfactory image. How your nose knows what is what. And this is very, very sensual. And then there is also reference to the milky stone. Milky is very feminine, but stone is substantial. So, in this pearl necklace, there is both the element of femininity and the element of substance. Okay, let's go to the next stanza.
I dust her shoulders with a rabbit's foot. Watch the soft blush sift through her skin like an indolent child. In her looking glass, my red lips part, though I want to speak.
Okay. Now, again, there is a reference to something else, the rabbit's foot. There was a superstition prevalent in parts of Europe, China, America, and so on and so forth, that the rabbit's foot was a talisman and could bring good luck. So, the lady's shoulders are touched by the girl. The girl is not supposed to touch the mistress. But this rabbit's foot gives her the chance to touch the lady vicariously, And here the rabbit's foot becomes a kind of an extended limb for the girl. And this rabbit's foot, when it touches the lady's bare shoulders, gives her a soft blush, which is likened to an indolent sigh. Look at this long vowel, seep. So the soft blush. Why should the lady blush when touched by the rabbit's foot? So obviously she does not resent this. The lady does not resent being touched with the rabbit's foot by the meat. And this is likened to an indolent sigh, the sigh of pleasure, maybe, the sigh of repletion, maybe. So now let us go back to that allusion to the fanning herself to remain cool. So it seems, don't you think, that the lady also feels some kind of sexual interest in the girl, in the serving maid? Okay, coming back. The red lips of the serving woman is caught in the looking glass. These red lips are parted as though to speak. That means not to speak actually. Presumably to kiss. But she is forbidden. She is forced to desist from kissing her lady. Why? Because there was a class barrier between the lady and the maid, and there was also the sexual barrier. The relationship between two women was forbidden, very much forbidden. So here you see who is describing this. It is Carolyn Duffy in the late 20th century. And which time is being described? Maybe 100 years back, maybe the late 19th century. And the situation depicted is that of a apparently lesbian relationship between the serving woman and her lady. Okay, and what was there? The last line.
My red lips part as though I want to speak.
Yes. So obviously she cannot speak because she is forbidden. As the lady is forbidden, she can blush. She can't express her desire. Similarly, the servant cannot speak or kiss or express her love because both are held in their place forcibly by the social norms. Okay, go on to the next stanza.
Full moon, her carriage brings her home. I see her every movement in my head, undressing, taking off her jewels, her slim hand reaching for the case, sleeping naked into bed. The way.
Okay. See, the party is over. The carriage brings the lady home. But the tall men are not there. The lady who comes home alone goes to her bedroom, unrobes, takes off her jewels, sleeps naked into the bed. Her slim hands grope for the case, obviously to put away the jewels, the pearl necklace maybe. And every movement of the lady is imagined by the girl who is in her attic room. Why? Is it all imagination? I will come back to it. Is it all imagination? How could she, the serving woman, picture whatever the lady does? How and why? Okay, here you see this stanza ends very unsatisfactory. The way. The way what? For answer, we will have to go to the next stanza. Read.
She always does.
She always does. She always does this. She always comes back from the party. She always goes to her bedroom, unrobes, takes off her dress and jewels, and sleeps naked into the bed. It seems that the women have been intimate. It seems that the serving woman, even though she is now in her attic room, does not stay there always. It seems that whether the lady knows it or not, the serving woman must have seen her sleeping naked in her bedroom. Okay, go on.
Ellipsis is there,
Yes.
footnotes, and then, and I lie here awake, knowing the pearls are cooling even now in the room where my mistress sleeps. All night I feel their absence and I burn.
Wait a minute. So the girl, the serving woman is awake in her attic room. But the lady sleeps in her bedroom. All day, the serving woman had thought of her. All night, she thinks about the pearl necklace. She feels the absence. And what is the pronoun used? I feel
Their absence.
their absence. Obviously, the absence of the pearls. The pearls that she had worn for the lady to wear. And she burns. She burns with desire. She burns with fever. She burns with anger and frustration. There are certain things that she wants to do but cannot do. Why? Because of the class barrier. Yes, but also because of the sexual barrier. Because of compulsory heterosexuality that is prescribed and homosexuality that is proscribed. Something is promoted, the other thing is forbidden. So obviously, warming her pearls is a poem that shows us how the love that doesn't dare to take its name both binds women and keep them apart. Both binds these women and keeps them apart. They are attracted to one another. In the case, this is unequal, yes. The servant seems to be attracted more, and apparently the lady who sleeps is not so warmly attached to her servant. But here there is a very, very subtle thing that our poet is doing. The lady is from the upper echelons of the society. She has conformed. She has surrendered. She knows how hard the norms of society are to break. But the lower class woman, the serving woman, she is more proactive. She is more resistant. She is more rebellious because she has nothing or little to lose. And that is why she can burn. That is why she can lie awake. That is why she can think. That is why she can resist. If not physically, if not really, at least ideationally. But on the other hand, the woman who is a lady, she has much to lose. And that's why she dares little. That's why she sleeps. This sleep may not be a sleep of peace. but a fitful slumber, disturbed and dismayed. I hope this discussion of warming her pulse will help you in understanding the hidden nuances of this poem. And if you have any queries or comments, feel free to ask them. And let the interactive session begin now.
স্যার,
Yes.
আমি অরবিন্দ বলছি যে একটা কোশ্চেন।
তুমি চেষ্টা করো ইংরেজিতে বলতে। Let's try to speak in English even if we commit mistakes. Let's try to speak in English.
Sir, there is a phrase rabbit's foot, and as you said that it is indicative of good women, something good women, good omen.
No, not good women. Good luck. Good luck. It was an amulet. It was supposed to be a good luck charm.
Yes, sir. Good omen. I suppose.
Good luck charm. Good omen, not woman. Omen.
Yes, sir. So.
Okay. Yes, go on.
Is it not suggesting her desire for sexual pleasure, anything like that?
No, I have discussed this, and that's why the touch of the rabbit's foot actually induces this soft blush and the indolent sigh, the sigh of pleasure. Yes, go on. Any other question? I hope I have satisfactorily answered your question, Aurobindo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question, please?
Sir, I have a question on this point. Is there any phallic symbol in this phrase, a rabbit's foot?
Yes, it can be interpreted that way. It can be interpreted that way, at least, and that's why I told you about the extension of the limb, an extended limb, yeah. But one thing is there. That is the beauty of poetry. The beauty of poetry is in its suggestive element. It does not spell out in no uncertain terms. It keeps things reasonably vague for you as reader to participate in the meaning making exercise. Yes, go on. Any other question? I hope you are satisfied with the answer.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay, go on. Any other question? Yes.
Sir, I'm Asifa. Sir, what the maid actually wanted for means the pulse or the lady means in the last line.
I couldn't get you.
Sir.
I'm not getting. Yes, please.
Actually, the servant the servant what is desired for means what she wanted most, the pulse or the lady. Means in the last line we see that I feel their absence. You said that there means the pulse, and I burn.
Yes.
And she cried.
Okay.
Then what she actually wanted?
Okay. What's your name?
Sir, Asifa. Sasuri sir.
A very good question. A very good question. And I praise you for this. What does this woman, the servant, want more? That is not explicitly pointed out. But the pearls are the link. The pearls are the link.
Yes.
Between the serving woman and the lady. This much to you. Obviously, wanting the pearls and wanting the lady, desiring the pearls, desiring the lady are not two entirely dissimilar or different things for the serving woman. Are you getting my point? Because you think about the question of lack, L-A-C-K, lack.
Yes, sir.
Lack means what you don't have and what you desire.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay.
All day long, I think about the lady. And all night, I feel the absence of the pearls.
Yes.
So obviously, she wants both the pearls
Yes.
and the lady. Because in her in her alternative imaginary, the lady and the pearls cannot be distinguished from one another or each other. Okay.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other question?
Sir,
Sir,
I'm
actually,
Aurobindo.
Okay. Okay. One by one. Yes. Aurobindo.
Sir, is not the lady designing, is not the maid servant desiring the lady as an element of lust, mere lust also?
That is the problem that society has with women desiring. You know, William Acton, a
Yes, sir.
famous physician of the Victorian times, said that a decent woman should not have desire. Now, can you actually differentiate properly between love and lust? Is it possible?
No, sir.
It is not possible. Some kind, if it is not a platonic love, which in this context, it is really not. By no stretch of the imagination can we call it platonic love. So obviously the element of lust or element of not lust, desire. Why are you talking about lust? There is nothing brutal about it. There is desire. By calling it lust, we are actually getting into the trap of the norm-giving society,
Yes.
which vilifies that vilifies desire, especially for women.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yes. A girl was trying to ask a question.
sir, Asifa.
Yes.
স্যার হার রোপ তো স্যার রোপ হয় মানে রোপ কিভাবে আসলো এখানে রোপ
Rope
Yeah,
is
sir. Flag on my neck, her rope. So,
okay. Let me explain. You know the pearls. How can the pearls take the shape of a necklace? There has to be a rope, a string going through the pearls. Yes or no?
yes, sir.
Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there is a rope. And this is considered to be a rope because, you know, this actually symbolically suggests a harness that can rein in or hold somebody captive.
Yes, yes.
Because the serving woman has to earn her bread by working willingly for the lady, there is this suggestion of a harness, which is now slack because the woman is willing, but which can tighten at a moment's notice when she is unwilling or when she is resistant. So even if there is an element of mutual attachment, even if there is, I am not sure. And that is the beauty of the poem, that Carol and Duffy does not spell out something in very certain terms, in very concrete way. You see, there is the element, even if there is the element of mutual attachment, the class distinction is very much there, and you cannot just wish it away.
Sir.
You cannot just wish it away. And you know, if you read many other works of literature, you will see that you think about, say, the relationship between Jane Eyre and Rochester. You know,
Yes.
there also the love element is there, but also the class hierarchy is there.
Yes, sir.
So the Rochester in Jane Eyre is both the lover and the master. Okay. Similarly,
Yes, sir.
that's why he was some kind of a lord. See, here, the lady is a lady, the mistress, who can inspire affection in the heart of the serving woman, but at the same time, who induces obedience. And that is why she works willingly, diligently, not only to please, but also to keep her place in the household of the lady. Any other query?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So পলাশ বলছি।
yes.
হ্যাঁ স্যার বলছি, obviously it is a depiction of a social restriction as she usually deals with. So sir, I'm going to ask you, sir, that is it the portrayal of the lesbian relationship that she had portrayed here, as she held this sort of relationship with Jackie K?
Now, one thing you have to understand that this is the trap of biographical criticism. It is not necessary for her, that is Caroline Duffy, to enter into a lesbian relationship to write about lesbianism.
Okay, sir.
By describing a lesbian relationship, she does not become lesbian herself. If she is a lesbian and also writes about lesbian women, that is incidental.
Okay,
There
sir.
is no 1:1 relationship between the man who suffers or the woman who suffers and the mind which creates. You go on. Any other question?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. The pleasure is mine. Any other question? Come on. So if there are no other questions, I will end today's class.
Sir?
Yes. Go on.
Sir, you have said that is this all about imagination, and that is that you didn't make clear actually, sir.
What about imagination? What are you actually trying to point
This
out?
poem all about this poem that she thinking about to do something else that you have read out through this poem, and all about is all about the imagination.
Wait, is it Polash? No.
Yes, sir.
Who are you? Identify yourself.
Yes, sir, I am Polash.
Okay, Polash. Now,
Yes, sir.
what do you imagine? Do you imagine something that you have never experienced? The realm of imagination and the world of reality has got a very, very close relationship. Yes or no? We
Yes,
imagine things based on our real life experience.
Yes, sir, yes.
What we see, what we experience, and what we desire, what is and what ought to be, gives you the terminal points of your imagination. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So obviously, if there is an element of imagination in this poem, there is a lot of realistic stuff here as well. Yes or no? Because one
Yes.
thing you have to understand. If there is a class barrier, if there is a barrier or against, if there is a proscription against same-sex relationships, especially in the Victorian age and also today, then obviously sometimes imagination becomes the only possible gateway for the aware or sensitive writer or sensitive human being. By thinking about certain things, by imagining certain things, he or she can live vicariously. He or she can give a message for society to mull over. You think about a poem like Goblin Market by Cristiano Rossetti, and you will also
Yes, sir.
see some elements of this nature in that poem as well. Any other question?
No, sir.
Any other question from anybody else? No, today I have really found the class really exhilarating, not only because of the way you have given me the opportunity to make sense of the poem, at least try to make sense of it, but also the way you have tried to participate in the interaction has really given me much pleasure. So I would like to end by thanking all of you for giving me such an exhilarating time. Thank you.